Hello everyone and welcome to my channel and welcome to my video about Apple stock. I think that Apple as a company is stagnating and they have been for years, and I see no meaningful growth for them in the future. Little about myself: I am a stock market enthusiast. I have been outperforming the market since 6 years, I think, yeah. And in this video I'm gonna tell you why I think that Apple will not grow much in the future. And I will tell you what Apple should do and what signs do we need to see for us to think about investing in Apple. Now, currently, I think that Apple is too reliant on iPhones. And I don't see that iPhones have much growth potential. And let's see where the revenue share came for Apple in the latest quarter. You can see that half of it was iPhones, 26% services, and like 10% wearables, accessories, a little bit Mac and iPad. And now I will show you the same revenue split for 2010. You can see that iPhones at the time had 37% of revenue share. Then came Macs, then there were iPods and other things. Now the difference that you could see is services. In these past 15 years, Apple has done a great job with growing services. And I think that services will grow in the future as well, but not meaningfully. But we'll talk about services later. Now let's talk about iPhones. Half of revenue for Apple. This is global market share for smartphones currently. You can see that iPhones are 18%. And in my opinion, I don't see any way how Apple will grow their market share. I see only opposite signs that their market share will shrink. And let me explain you why I think that. The first reason is competition. iPhone started as a brand new world-changing technology. They were the first touchscreen, and you know the rest. But slowly competitors are catching up in terms of quality of the product. For the past 10 years, you could say that Samsung had similar capabilities of building an excellent smartphone. I'd say the evolution of the phones went like this. Sometimes Samsung came up with something new. Sometimes for the certain year their flagship model was slightly better than the flagship iPhones. Sometimes Apple. They both stole from each other, and it has sort of continued like that up until now. iPhone is not having superior screens. It doesn't have a superior battery. The camera is probably currently better on the newest Galaxy Ultra Samsung. The charging is not the fastest. And sure, iPhone has the best brand image. iPhone has arguably the best ecosystem connection, like iCloud, AirDrop, everything like that. And for example, here is actually not an iPhone. It's like 2024 Samsung Galaxy, even though it might look like an iPhone. As I told you before, they steal things from each other, and Samsung stole their design. But there is nothing that's worse in this phone than in the equivalent iPhone. The only thing the only reason why people would buy iPhone, not this, is because they are already used to the phone. They are already used to the ecosystem or whatever. And yeah, I think that in general, the people who would want to buy an iPhone already have an iPhone, and the market share will not grow significantly only because people are deciding to change from other phone to iPhone. And that is because iPhone is not innovating, and we will talk about this later. But first we gotta talk about why the market share is not gonna expand. Now, let's look at another example. AI features. Currently, you know that there is an AI boom. Every company is rushing to use AI to make new amazing products, to make more money, to capture market share, whatever. Now, direct comparison in smartphones, for example, four smartphones is AI features. Now, it's pretty much a fact. I'm not saying that only because I have a Samsung, that Galaxy AI Samsung did much greater job. But the big picture, the proxy for how good the company is doing right now is AI race in general. Think about Microsoft. What are they doing with AI? Think about Google, Samsung. Apple is the worst out of pretty much all the tech companies. They are not in their game. They would like to have amazing AI features, but they just cannot do it as good as other companies. And that's indication of how they are doing right now. And another thing, the evolution of iPhones. Since Apple is relying so much, since their business is relying so much on the iPhones, they need people to be excited and to buy and buy and buy the new iPhones. But let me give you an example. Think about the evolution from iPhone 4 to iPhone 6. That would be a massive upgrade. Now think about the upgrade from iPhone 14 to iPhone 16. What upgrade is that? Like pretty much nothing changed, maybe slightly better camera, whatever. You're paying large amount of money for just a slightly better camera, and everything else is the same. So there's nothing much to say. I'm not expecting iPhone 17 or iPhone 18 to become a viral sensation, to change the world, to improve our lives significantly. It's probably gonna look with a different camera layout. Maybe it's not gonna be this rounded, maybe it's gonna be more squared this year. But that's it. It's gonna open up your YouTube fine. It's gonna open up your WhatsApp or Messenger, whatever, fine, and your Instagram Reels will work just the same as on the old iPhone. So where is the smartphones going? I don't see anything exciting here. Yeah, and this is what I wanted to talk about. Remember in the old days, the Apple events. So many people got excited about the new iPhone or the new iPad or iPod. It went viral. People were talking about it, how this is gonna change their lives, and how people stood in lines to get the new phones. And what innovation is Apple doing right now? I don't see anything exciting for them. Now, for a change, let me tell you something good about what Apple has done in the past. For example, their services, their Apple TV. I think they're executed really well, and they have expanded their business from this to this. Therefore, the stock price should also expand. Now, that is a great thing, but I don't see any new massive expansions coming in the future. Of course, they will expand, of course, there will come new things, but for me to invest in a company, I would love for there to be a potential for a 3x. I would love the company to grow massively. I would love to know something more about the company that others don't know, so I can capitalize. And the company has it factor. Apple has nothing. Apple are just in the period where their whole management team is focusing on quarter to quarter slight growth. They're making lots of money. They're giving dividends. The company is doing great. They're very profitable, whatever. But that kind of investing is not for me, and I don't think it should be for you as well, unless you are working in a specific situation. Because why shoot for a stock like this where you don't maybe will perform similar to an index but have slightly larger risk than an index, where you can find a company that has a potential to drop I don't know, maybe 50%, but has also potential to 5x in maybe 3 years. So what are we talking about? Well, this is funny. The innovation of Apple right now in one picture. Apple Vision Pro. The whole internet laughed about it. It's a product for nobody. It's extremely expensive. It's like sort of a gimmick to what Apple did in the past, where they are making a product that will change the world, where actually this is not what's gonna change the world, and it only feels like it is something that would change the world. And I think there was just massive miscommunication between many layers of management, and it was a flop. And it has some specific applications in the future. For example, I could take my glasses and I wouldn't need like 3 screens in my workstation, and I could work with these glasses. But they marketed it as a world-changing technology that where people are gonna walk around with these huge glasses, which was a disaster. Yeah. Another possible way of Apple expanding their business is health. The idea is that the Apple Watch is gonna monitor your health, your heart rate or whatever, and if you have a, let's say, a heart attack coming up, that it will save your life. Now there's a problem with this. I don't know if you know this, but measuring here is not the best place for this data. Even a smart ring has much better data gathering capabilities compared to watch. You could see you could search for scientific comparison of different consumer sleep measuring devices. For example, this the one in the picture is an Oura Ring, which is the company that currently creates the best smart rings that measure your health metrics, and companies like Apple should have known this, and should have built out of this foundation years and years ago, when this technology was slowly improving. For example, their competitor Samsung already has a Galaxy Ring, I think second generation on the market that you can buy right now. Maybe it's the first generation, whatever, but they are investing their money in it parallelly to making watches, and Apple is not even trying. I don't know why they're not even trying. I think they could have a great potential where the design is next level. If they had their old style marketing, they could market the ring very cool. Even if the ring was expensive, very much people would buy it. And that's just another sign that Apple is sleeping. Apple is not on their game. They're not on their age. They're not innovating. They're not at the front. Yeah. So, and what I talked about before is a result of this man. I already touched on management before, but let's talk about more about the company culture. Now, pre-Tim Cook, as you know, Steve Jobs passed away in 2011. And what made Apple such an amazing company in the first place was his style of leadership, his innovation, his brilliance, and the company really was living up to its motto, think different. And Tim Cook is not thinking different. He's doing exactly what I think many shareholders wanted him to do. He is leading Apple company since 2011 at an extremely high level, but at a style that most companies are led. They're looking at quarterly data, they're improving their business, their recurring revenue from services, for example, is absolutely amazing for the company financials. It's amazing for the stock price, but it comes at a cost if you look at the bigger time scale. Sure, the company grew massively and the company is stable, the company is safe, but the company is also not taking risks. The company is also not innovating. And that is the reason why the company is stagnating. And I don't want to invest in company like that at that stage. If you would ask me if would I wanted to invest in Apple in let's say 2015, now of course, then I was a little too young, but no, maybe I wasn't, but I would have considered it. But now, after leading a company in this style, having the talent that was, imagine who creates the most innovation. People who are passionate, people who are fired up, people who have something to prove. People like that do not thrive in a company that's led in this manner. Those people I'll have already left to other companies to innovate, to create something new. What is left is people with less ambition, people who like stability, and people who do not think different, people who think like most people think. So yeah, I hopefully you understand my message. And the next part, let's talk about what made Apple so great back in the day. Please try to remember a time when iPod, not iPad, but iPod came out, and try to remember how it was like living in those times. Some people had iPods, some people had MP3 players, mostly from Sony. And think about the differences about them. The Sony was much cheaper, and the Sony was could hold more songs, so it was technically a better product. But nobody would own Sony if they could own an iPod. And the reason for that was brand image and the feel and the vibe of the product and the brilliant marketing and how they showed the whole world how they were different, how they thought different. Look at the design of the iPod. It's a masterpiece. Meanwhile, the Sony just looks bad. Even though it could hold more songs and it was cheaper, people would rather buy an iPod. And this has, over the years, I don't know if I can blame Tim Cook for it, the company culture, or just the mentality of the company where they're not thinking different. But let's look at two examples. An old Apple commercial and the current Apple commercial. Yeah, so here's the old one.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Yeah, so that was actually Steve Jobs' voice right there. And this is a legendary commercial. But let's look at the ad from 2 months ago. And it wasn't specifically selected as the worst ad because I wanted to cherry pick the worst ad. It was honestly the first ad that popped up when I searched for Apple ad. Hello, this is Future Me. Apple gave me a copyright strike for the ad, for the new ad. So if you want to see it yourself, I put the link in the description. It's only 30 seconds, but you'll get the picture after like 5 or 10 seconds how terrible it is. What is this? What is this? It's Apple Think different? No, it's Apple Think the same or okay, let's focus on their message. Their message is introducing iPhone at the price you can't ignore. I know they are showing their cheapest model, but that is a great segue to another point I wanted to make about a price you cannot ignore. Now let's go to the apple.com and look at the newest iMac and look at the price. You see the cheapest version is $1,300. The most expensive one is a little bit under $2,000. Now, I do not expect people to know much about computer specs, and people are not gonna build their own computers, but I still have to say these things shortly. Let's look at the second most expensive one. So, storage, memory. Hopefully this says something to you. 256 gigabytes. That's extremely small for any computer, but a computer for $1,500 is insane. And I have written down here on the piece of paper 256 gigabyte SSD costs. How much do you think? It costs $100, $50? No, it's less than $30. And what is the difference between the next model? Okay, the next model costs $200 more. How much do you think costs 500 gig SSD? It costs $55. This one costs $30 and this one costs $55. So the difference is $25. And why isn't the most expensive storage version by default 2 terabytes? Why? It wouldn't change the manufacturing costs that much. What are we paying for? And what about memory? Why is it only having 16 gigabytes of RAM? Okay, maybe some people don't know about that. How much is it actually? But I would say that for that price, you could expect a 60 gigabytes of RAM. 8 gigabytes of RAM stick costs $20 approximately. But you get 24 only in the most expensive version. And the last thing I promise, this is actually really this is making me pissed off, but the last thing I promise, the display. The display has 60 Hertz. If you don't know why it is bad, why it is not enough, try to take your newest phone, go to your programs, and try to do like this, switch from side to side or top to bottom, and take your old phone, maybe not the if you have like previous year's iPhone, or maybe 2 years back, maybe not that one, but like 5 years back. And when you do like this, you can see that the image is flickering and it's not smooth at all. And all the computers should have 144 Hertz years ago, and other companies are doing that years ago, and all the phones have more Hertz, but for some reason they give you the cheapest 60 Hertz screen, and you get what? You get one screen with not enough memory, with not enough RAM, and it costs this. And what are they offering you? What are they offering you here? Apple Intelligence? Apple Intelligence? Come on, man. Okay, I think I need to stop the video. I'm getting too pissed off. But yeah, the last point quickly. Xiaomi or Xiaomi or whatever you pronounce it, the Chinese flagship phone. I'm sure I'm not gonna buy my next phone a Xiaomi phone, and you are not gonna buy it as well. But it is currently technically better, with better specs. And China is improving. And China will, Xiaomi, the company, is gonna innovate the most in the coming years. And over time, their phone is gonna be the best, and more people are gonna use it. And over time, they're gonna have better prices. And slowly, that's another reason why there is potential for iPhones, for example, to lose market share. And what is iPhone doing? What is Apple doing? They're not innovating. They're not doing anything. They're just making the next iPhone, who is pretty much the same as the last iPhone. They're collecting great margins. They're making money, but they're not growing the business. And why should I invest in company if it's not gonna grow? For their dividends? Man, come on. I think there's much better deals in the market. And for example, AMD stock, if you're interested in that, I have a video on my channel, you can check it out. And this is the conclusion of the video, and this is what I expect Apple stock to do. I expect it to slightly grow, maybe fall, maybe if the economy is bad, maybe fall, maybe it will grow, and but eventually it will grow really slowly. Is it gonna outperform the S&P 500? Maybe, who knows, maybe by a little, maybe a little under, but it's nothing special. We cannot expect Apple stock to 3x in like 2 years. There's no chance, there's no way. I see that. So think about it yourself if you want to invest in Apple stock. Yeah, thank you for watching the video. Please press the like button if you want to, and yeah, subscribe to the channel. Bye.